Should lawyers also be social media influencers? This story getting a lot of attention. It's a story about the lawyers of Marc-André Grenon. Last week, Grenon was sentenced to 25 years in prison for the rape and murder of Guylain Potvin in Jonquière in the year 2000. Now, during his trial, his lawyers, Vanessa Farron and Karine Poliquin, used social media in the same way Kim Kardashian would prepare for a night out. Videos posted with messages about their style, filmed in the corridors of the Chicoutimi courthouse, with movie soundtracks. They actually used that song, Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. That's what they used in their videos. And they added the hashtags, right? The hashtags you'd expect from someone looking for exposure. Not justice, girl power, hashtag girl power, hashtag entrepreneur, and references to the TV show How to Get Away with Murder, all part of the mix. We've got Ari Goldkind on the line, criminal defense lawyer and legal analyst, to talk about what are the ethics involved for lawyers using social media. Ari, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you, Elias.
Ari, listen, I know you're on social media. You've got spicy hot takes that you post on Twitter, on X all the time. You use social media, but I'd love to know your take on this case and these lawyers while a trial's going on, posting, hashtag boss type stuff on Instagram.
So there's two parts to this, Elias, and you're right. First of all, for your listeners, I never call it social media, as you know. It's anti-social media. It's the bane of our world, the bane of our existence. Do I use it because I have to get out what I think I have to get out? Yeah, but, do I wish I never looked at it? Yeah, that too. So the second part that's just as important as what they're actually saying is what should professionals, doctors, psychologists, lawyers, be able to say on social media why, when, and how. And that brings in, as Elias, you'll recall, the Jordan Peterson story from a few months ago where he's in trouble for saying that an extraordinarily overweight cover of a swimsuit edition for Sports Illustrated, which interestingly has gone out of business, he commented on her being overweight and he's in trouble with his licensing body. Now, I'm only repeating what he said. I would never think such horrible, crazy thoughts.
Sure, okay, but Ari, can I just interrupt you? Because I guess I got to ask you, well, why are you going down that path? Because to me, this seems different. These are two lawyers that are just trying to build their reputation, I would imagine.
No, see, to me, what they've done is not only completely different, Elias, but far worse. And
okay.
I'm going to explain why. What this report says, which I had translated into English, so, if the translation is inaccurate, blame Google, not me. But they are essentially doing two things that I think run afoul of a number of concerns. One, they seem to be promoting themselves at the expense of their client. That is a very sacrosanct thing that I think is very dangerous for a lawyer to do. So it begs the question, Elias. Did they have their client's permission to do what they did? Now, I read about that hashtag, how to get away with murder. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's something they actually referenced because I couldn't read the French piece, but in the English piece, it's unclear.
Yeah, they use the hashtag in their post. It's HGAM, which is how to get away with murder. They use that hashtag in the post.
Right. So if they did, Elias, that to me is really where they're going to have trouble should anybody complain. Because that, and again, if you accept that the jury came back with a verdict in 2 seconds, and I mean that, the story makes it clear that this is an extraordinarily fast verdict on first-degree murder. How does posting how to get away with murder help the client whose life is in your hands? And I would be very shocked that client gave them clear instructions that they can write to the public, to a potential jury pool, how to get away with murder. The other part I have a problem with it, Elias, is this. First of all, in Ontario, you can't take any videos, whether it's TikTok, Snapchat, or other garbage, in a courthouse. It is actually a crime to do it. But really where I get further concerned here, including the hashtag we just discussed, is what does it say to the victims and the family and the loved ones of the person their client is charged with taking off this earth. This now becomes promoting their hair, their nails, their business. This to me, Elias, I don't think this will be the last we hear of these two and what troubles they may have in the future. But when you have a first-degree murder, which is the most serious thing you can have as a criminal defense lawyer. I often come on here and I have a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. But when I do homicide after homicide after homicide, nothing is more sober. Nothing is more serious. I have somebody's life in my hand, but I have to balance that with being respectful of the process, the court, the loved ones, the victims. I don't do things to throw salt in the wound. So whether that breaches a rule of professional conduct or not, Elias, and I think these two women may have some trouble coming down the pike if the reporting is correct. That's not up to me. And, but when you have the hashtags and the videos that I did see clearly were done, you stole my word, Elias, which was this is Kardashian-level nonsense.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with promoting yourself respectfully as a lawyer. This isn't the U.S. where you have billboards on the side of the highway or the 401. There are lawyers who have YouTube channels. I do videos where I explain things to people. Here's how the system works. Here's why somebody's convicted. Here's why somebody shouldn't be. This, to me, was a very, very different fish, Elias. And the problem, to end my answer, is it seems to be at the expense of a client, and I'm not convinced that he was well defended.
So let me ask you, Ari, we're with Ari Goldkind, criminal defense lawyer. One of the things that came up, we talked about this story on at the start of our show yesterday. And one of the things that came up is, it's a different time. It's 2024. Social media is where people are, whether you call it social media or anti-social media.
Yep.
And someone said, 20 years ago, this would have been done in front of TV cameras. Like these lawyers who are trying to build their careers and show they're the hotshot criminal defense lawyer of this very big high-profile case. They would go in front of cameras, and I'll just think about just more in recent memory. I know you love talking about Gian Ghomeshi on this program. You bring him all the time. Remember his lawyer?
It's a very important case.
Well, so Marie Heinen, right? His lawyer. She's always in front of the cameras. She has used media, traditional media, to up her profile. So I guess if I were to try and defend these actions, I would say it's a different time. It's 2024. Maybe you don't understand the younger generation, but they are using social media the same way a lawyer would use traditional media 10, 20 years ago.
Okay, so I know you probably have to go to break soon, so let me be quick on this. I understand that question. Look, I know the Toronto Life piece about Marie Heinen that, changed her profile massively in addition to some of the cases she did. But Marie Hennen would be caught dead. And I don't speak for her. She can well speak for herself. She would be caught dead doing what these women do. She will never discuss her cases in public. Yes, she's had photo shoots in her office with her great hairstyle and great furniture. That, to me, is very different from what these two women were doing based on this reporting that I was sent.
But let me make it murkier, Ari. Here's how I'll make this murkier.
Sure.
Imagine
Please.
She grew up in the 2010s. Imagine Marie Heinen, same person, but she grew up in the 2010s instead of growing up in the 1990s. I think she'd be doing that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so I'm talking about the generational change that has happened amongst all people, right? The younger generation, they just use TikTok and Instagram in ways that we wouldn't consider. So I wonder how much of this is generational.
Well, let me answer that too. I think the generation coming up is moronic and idiotic 92% of the time. But I can tell you, Elias, to be serious for a moment, two things. If Marie Hennen was coming up now, she still wouldn't be doing what these two are doing.
Okay.
And I can tell you, Elias, to be quick about this, there are a lot of young, hungry, motivated, innovative, driven lawyers who would all like to raise their profile. You don't think I know that they're sniping behind my back because I'm lucky enough to be very successful media-wise without ever promoting myself? Good luck finding anybody to ever show that I promote myself. I don't. But I can tell you that I don't know any lawyer, which is why we're talking about these two women, Elias. Think through why we're talking about them. Every lawyer with rules of professional conduct and at least some decorum and dignity for the process, the reason we're talking about these two is because I think no other lawyer is unwise enough to cross a number of lines, particularly the how to get away with murder thing, that these two women crossed. So if that isn't insightful to the thousands of people licensed as doctors, psychologists, that's why I mentioned Peterson, lawyers, shrinks, who would never do this, Elias, that's why I think what these two women have done may be something that ultimately they regret doing.
Ari, it's always interesting talking to you and fascinating getting your takes. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Elias.
Ari Goldkind, criminal defense lawyer and legal analyst. And yes, you can find him on social or anti-social media.